Well, good morning, everybody. Can somebody please help me out here? This is an episode of the TV show Lost. The episode was called Catch 22, and it aired in 2007. Yet, there is a character named Charlie who gets shot in the neck with an arrow. Is this the same archetype that we saw in Snake Eyes? Charles Kirkland shot in the neck. Now, what is this episode about? That's what we're going to break down today. We're also going to go back to Snake Eyes and finish up because there's lots of things that we need to confirm with that whole archetype. Now, what is this all about? Well, this episode of Lost was about Looking Glass. There's a character named Desmond, and he is the one that has a premonition of Charlie's impending death. Death by 1,000 ways. In other words, Charlie's destiny was always to die. And Desmond tries to intervene because Desmond sees the future. Project Looking Glass. But no matter how many times Desmond saves Charlie, Charlie has to die. How old was Charlie when this episode aired? Well, Charlie was played by this man, Dominic Monaghan. And guess how old he was when the episode aired? He was the exact same age that Charlie Kirk was when he died. He was 31 years old in 2007. Now, I'm going to play this clip for you so that you know that I'm not making all this up, because what you're going to hear next is just unbelievable. Charlie literally says, "The man of steel," which is how the doctors described Charlie when they claim that a 30-06 round did not pass through his body. Let's take a look, you guys.
I've tried, brother. I've tried twice to save you, but no matter what I try to do, you're gonna die, Charlie.
Superman can fly around the entire planet in the blink of an eye. Ooh, vibrations. Whatever would Superman do if he came up against a wall?
Well, no smashing allowed.
Why would the Man of Steel agree to a sodding foot race?
Why would the Man of Steel agree to a foot race? These are the moments leading up to the arrow that goes through the neck of Charlie, or into the neck of Charlie. He just mentioned Superman and the Man of Steel. What is happening here, you guys? What is this? What is going on? What is going on? His first line, let's play it back, is about Superman. Exactly how Charlie Kirk is described.
Superman can fly around the entire planet in the blink of an eye. Ooh, vibrations. Whatever would Superman do if he came up against a wall?
What would Superman do if he came up against a wall?
Well, no smashing allowed.
Why would the Man of Steel agree to a sodding foot race?
For charity? And Flash would totally win, because he can, dude, if we're going by a pure foot race, Supes would get dusted by the Flash.
So what's happening here is Charlie and Hurley are having a debate about who's faster or something like this, the Flash or Superman. Who's the better superhero? And Charlie says the Man of Steel. They talk about a wall, which is also creepy because that kind of connects to Trump as well. Charlie then steps on a tripwire.
The hell?
No smashing. Any other restrictions I need to know about? Perhaps we should fit Superman with a pair of kryptonite
away, speechless. Now, there's even more. Connecting this episode to recent events. Now, remember all this. Now, I'm just giving you the highlights. This goes way deeper, you guys. The whole episode, if you watch this episode back called Catch-22 from 2007, it's one of the first episodes where they build their shelters and tents. Now, they don't actually show Charlie in a tent, but they show all of the other characters. Jack sets up his tent. And this is what we have. Now, let me check in with you guys. Please thumbs up this video. This may be the one video that will wake up someone close to you. These synchronicities are undeniable. This absolutely confirms that predictive programming is real. I don't claim to know what it actually is. We've had our theories over the years. We thought this is either spiritual law, in which everything that's in this reality has to reveal itself. And maybe this is why God said all things that were hidden will be revealed, because somehow the very nature of our reality, the physical laws of nature or rules, force us to manifest truth so that it cannot be hidden. Nothing can be hidden. So this could be happening inadvertently, or it could be a design. It could be a spiritual law where God makes people show the truth so that they are exposed, so that there always is a path to truth. So I don't know the answers to all that, but there's more. This is unbelievable. Charlie shot in the neck. And this whole episode has, parallel plot lines. Desmond enters monkhood in a Catholic church. Now, there's this whole debate going on, if you've been following Candace Owens at all. And now I'm at the point where I'm believing we all knew she was controlled opposition before. But the question was, can controlled opposition, if they don't know they're controlled opposition, can some truth come out of them? So in the beginning, I was like, Charlie was exposing the country that shall not be named. Maybe that's why they killed him. But now I'm questioning everything, because Candace Owens is now saying that Charlie and his wife were attending mass just before all this happened. And that's like the big story over there. Let's keep watching.
No, don't touch it.
Oh my God.
Just breathe,
Charlie!
I'm sorry, babe. Don't try to talk, mate.
He's literally holding the same side of the arrow where supposedly this bullet was in Charlie Kirk's throat. Unbelievable.
Mate, we've got to get back.
No, you help! I can't help!
And this is Desmond, a younger Desmond. He goes into monkhood at the Catholic Church.
God tests our faith in many ways. So, as you well know, we have our own test here.
I saw a sequence of events. Things that are going to happen.
And yet God spared Isaac. Well, then it wouldn't have been much of a test, would it, brother? Perhaps you underestimate the value of sacrifice.
So this is the whole discussion about Isaac and Abraham. And remember, we brought this up. We showed you that Charlie Kirk's birthday was the direct opposite of Barron Trump's birthday in the calendar. They're birthday opposites. And this was all about two fathers and two sons. Charlie Kirk's father designed the very occult Trump Tower. So you've got Trump and his son, Barron. You've got Charlie's father and Charlie, the two sons. We just talked about this. And one son was sacrificed. Let's keep, or allegedly. At this point, I don't know what's real anymore. Let's keep watching.
Well, one might argue that God need not have asked Abram to sacrifice his son in the first place.
So Charlie ends up surviving Desmond's premonition because Desmond intervenes and does not allow the arrow to go through into Charlie's throat. But wow, Charlie, the man of steel. Now, in the end of the whole series, or partially through one of these seasons, Charlie ends up dying. And he dies, I believe he dies in a looking glass station. Am I correct? For those of you lost junkies out there, did he die in looking glass? There was an underwater station, and he's down there, and he sacrifices himself finally to save everybody else, or something like that, if I can remember correctly. But unbelievable. Now, so some of you are watching the series right now. Let me get an answer on the looking glass station, and then we'll continue on here. Now, we're going to do a couple of follow-up items on yesterday's show about Defense Department person named Charles Kirkland, who was shot in the film Snake Eyes. We're going to look at that. There's a lot of misinformation out there about that film. I'm going to lay it all to rest right now. Snake Eyes. People are trying to muddy the waters and get everybody confused about this. No, no, no. The fact is that these movie connections are very specific. And when people get confused about it, they just go back to sleep. We're not going to let that happen. Yes, it is confirmed that the boxing match in the movie, when Charles Kirkland is shot in the neck, happened on September 10th, not the 19th, as some people are trying to suggest. This is a movie t-shirt long before the shooting, long before the Charlie Kirk shooting. It's memorabilia. There are also movie notes that confirm that the boxing match in the movie took place on September 10th. The reason for the confusion, are you ready for this? The reason why September 10th looked like September 19th was because there was a storm coming in. What was the name of the storm? Jezebel. And it just so happens a group called Jezebel placed a curse on Charlie a few days before all this happened. And this is being covered by Megyn Kelly and the mainstream news and Candace Owens. This is crazy, you guys. So, and of course, the connection to Tyler, the alleged shooter, they call it the executioner. Tyler versus Ruiz, September 10th, the date of the shooting, 1998. 27 years before. Now, there's more to this. Here's the hurricane. Hurricane during Snake Eyes. It was called Hurricane Jezebel. And of course, there were Jezebel witches who supposedly put a curse on Charlie. You guys, this is unbelievable. How is it that all this is connected if everything we're being told is real? This is the question. This is the question. So, there's a little bit more to this. Let's see here. Let's go into here. Now, let's go back to the plot of all this. Now, there's more confirmation here about the 9/10, September 10th event. The actual director and producer was born on 9/11, which is probably why he had the September 10th date of the fight in the film. And he named his daughter Lolita, is the name of one of his daughters. Director Brian De Palma. Wow. Hurricane Jezebel. Well, Tropical Storm Jezebel. Now, there's a little bit more to this. Let's read this story about this curse that was placed on Charlie, so we can wrap our mind around this. Erica Kirk, genuinely rattled after Jezebel paid witches on Etsy to curse husband Charlie 2 days before he was assassinated. And I guess they went and hired somebody to pray with or something like this about all this because she was rattled by all this, allegedly. Unbelievable. There's Megyn Kelly, who was given the breakdown on her show. And then Candace Owens mentioned it as well. Now, there's a little bit more to this, you guys. Let's get into the white dress and the blonde wig. Now, who you're looking at here is Carla Gugino, CC. And in the movie, Snake Eyes, she is dressed in a costume. This is not her original look in the movie. She's actually in a disguise. What is the disguise? It is this white skirt suit. Here's a wide shot. Unbelievable. She's literally sitting next to Charles Kirk. This guy's about to get shot through the neck in the same exact side that Charlie Kirk did 27 years ago. Now, I tried to zoom in to see what this pendant was around her neck to see if it might have matched. But you guys, this is creepy. What is happening here? What is happening here? Now, of course, Erica Kirk's wearing a pantsuit, not a skirt suit, but it's white and it's very similar. It's not the same, but it's similar. The blonde hair, the blonde wig, short haircut. So spiritually, here's how you look at this, right? Short haircut and short skirt, long haircut, long pants. See how that matches? So that's the tell. Because had they put her in long hair and a pantsuit, it would have been too exact, right? So they do opposites with this. Short, short, long, long. Now everybody was noticing, they're like, why isn't she wearing black? Well, now you know the reason. Because apparently it has to match this for some reason. Literally sitting next to Charles Kirkland right before he shot. Now, what else I noticed? Carla Gugino, CC, Erica Kirk, KK, those are Charlie Kirk's initials. CC, KK. Wow. Now, just after Charles Kirkland is shot sitting next to her, Carla Gugino takes a bullet in the arm. Now, obviously, Erica Kirk was not shot in the arm, but if we are to follow the script, that could happen at some point. So people who are around her need to be on notice about that and make sure that doesn't happen. Or maybe they want to make sure it does happen to match the script. I don't know, you guys. This is creepy. Creepy, creepy, creepy. All over the place. Now, many of you have probably watched this or are going to watch it. If you find anything else in the movie, please let us know. We did decode the movie Snake Eyes back in 2020. I played that video yesterday for you guys, the whole decode. And we found connections to Donald Trump. This was actually filmed inside of Trump's Taj Mahal. You could also make the case that the boxing ring that they're watching right now is kind of the shape of Charlie's tent. I don't know what the dimensions of a boxing ring versus a tent are, but they're both like squares, right? Cubes, you could say. So that might be a bit of a stretch, but everybody's looking at the cube. Everybody's staring up at the cube. And then we've got the whole Charlie connection to camping and tents in the episode of Lost. So you got the kind of the same thing. The focus is the tent. It's the cube. So those are some other connections. Now this one's going to blow your mind. And you guys, I don't know what to think anymore. After all this, all bets are off when it comes to the theories out there. Anything goes at this point. Literally anything is possible. Some of the theories that I thought were ridiculous, like holograms, or some people thinking he's still alive, whatever you can imagine, it just might be true. 5 days ago, I thought, they took him out because he was speaking out against Israel, but now, I don't know. The predictive programming here is too specific. You can't ignore it. Almost every element of the case is mirrored in the movie Snake Eyes and Lost. How old was Charlie? He was only 4 years old. When Snake Eyes came out, I don't know how old he was in 2007, but look at this. 2 months and 7 days before his birthday is when Snake Eyes came out. 2 months and 7 days. 27 years ago. Let me say that again. 2 months and 7 days before Charlie's birthday, Snake Eyes came out 27 years ago. Whoa. Here you go. 27 years before he was, quote unquote, assassinated. So here we are, you guys. Now, let me check in with you and see if you guys have any more questions or input. Tomorrow, we are going to decode the film called Him. H-I-M. It's a sports horror film is what they describe it as. We're also going to try to get caught up on the headlines, kind of behind on the headlines. We've been, all this stuff came in with this stuff, and so we're trying to make sure we do it diligence, do it justice, get all the information out. But the sports horror film Him is all about sports idolatry and grooming. And so that's what we're going to cover tomorrow. All right, I'm in the chat, you guys. Wow. Blown away. Yeah, and it's apparent they've already unsubscribed all the new people that subscribed to the channel. We're back to our original core group. This is what YouTube does to hide the truth. Wow. The cube is the Saturn-Earth conjunction. Oh, you can also, you remember the flag of or the emblem or whatever of the Utah University was a hexagon, which we described as a cube as well. So that matches the tent that he was shot in and all this. Remember? So my wife's cousin has a son that was in the movie Follow the House of Usher. Yeah, we will be doing, believe it or not, a re-upload series over the next month while I'm traveling. And basically, we will cover the fall of the House of Usher because we already decoded that. I got 3 or 4 videos on that. So, wow. So let's see how Carla Cugino, links into all that. Do I have videos on the symbolism of the series Lost? I have at least one. And the one video that I can remember was about Jacob and the two sons or whatever, the two figures battling against each other, if I can remember correctly. And I think there's one where they go down the tunnel, and I talk about that too. I have maybe 1 or 2 videos on Lost. So thanks for that question, Misfit. Wow, the Charlie Kirk Simpsons episode taken down. Please watch. Matches 100%. Wow. Thanks, Save the Bees. Russian planes over Alaska last night. Yep. Love you guys too. Thanks. Big wrestling match on the grounds of the White House. Yes, praise Jesus. Main character in Handmaid's Tale, huh? Wow, and the no-hide laws. I could see that coming. Gosh, wouldn't it be crazy if, like, there was an attempt on her, and then she got shot in the arm just like Carla Cugino, and then all of a sudden Trump just went ballistic, and all of this, the crackdown started happening. I could see that scenario playing out, right? The grieving widow, and then, Trump's like, gloves are off. We're just going to go for it. He's already, primed us with the military going into these big cities already to root out quote unquote illegals. So that could be the next step. Who knows? I don't know the future. Carla Cugino aunt equals Carol Merrill from Price is Right. Trump sides with Zelensky, praises his good works. Yeah, that was weird. He goes back and forth. Okay. Big communion taking place in D.C. I guess they're also going to put Charlie on like a coin. They're going to put him on was it the silver dollar is what they said? Now? Wow. So that's like JFK status right there, right? All right. Okay. Thanks for the gifted memberships. Whoever did that, thank you. Oh, let's see here. Carlos, thanks, Carlos. Appreciate it. Tyler Ruiz showing Tyler Roos. Oh, good one, Zuzu Pedals. Good job. Yes. So the boxer, his name was Tyler Lincoln, but he was against Ruiz. So the headliner was Tyler versus Ruiz. So ruse means a lie. Absolutely. Yeah, everybody already covered the Amazon book. Amazon had a cover story for that. They said, oh, that was a mistake. Google has gone full Gemini lately. Oh, wow. They arrested a guy in scrubs at UVU, but there's nobody reporting on it. Yeah, there's this whole storyline as well that someone literally saw the sniper on the roof. Again, this is all hearsay, not hearsay, wrong word. This is all now up in the air because who knows who these people are who are claiming to be witnesses. Like this whole thing to me is just one big nothing sandwich because there's just so many questions. But the claim is that a guy got on video, the sniper on the roof, and he was not wearing anything close to what we are told the sniper was wearing. The person they said had a completely different gun, was in tactical gear, black tactical gear, and a mask. Looked nothing like the person we are told did it. And has the person on video, but it's so far away, all you see is this dark figure up on a roof. So, the FBI did not release that description, did they? All we got was, oh, this is our guy, it's Tyler, he changed clothes. No one said anything about tactical gear and a mask and all these things. So, something is wrong. Now, of course, those reports came out of, that was from Candace Owens. Again, take that with a grain of salt. Because she seems to be in on it. I mean, what if the play here is that, because this whole Catholic thing, they brought that in, and all of a sudden Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk were attending mass. So this could be the one world religion. This could be them saying, hey, we're just gonna combine Christianity with Catholicism. It's all the same anyway. And you hear Candace Owens keep saying, oh, Catholics are Christians. Catholics are Christians. She keeps saying that. So maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe that's what's happening here, this one world religion. Pulling it all together. We know this is going to happen because the Bible says it's going to happen. So they're literally starting to fulfill Bible prophecy. And this whole, Israel aspect has now become a nothing sandwich. At first, Candace Owens came out guns blazing, saying it was, Israel may have been involved. And then Bibi Netanyahu responded, said, we had nothing to do with it. And now no one's talking about that. Erica Kirk isn't addressing it. So maybe now it's all about combining Catholicism with Christianity with Judaism. It's going to be all one big pot. Who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Those are just my observations. But I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like all this predictive programming that's so specific. This is weird. Now, there are other theories. Some people are like, oh, it's the quantum universe. It's causality. It's echoes of the future bleeding back into the past. I don't know about all that. God controls all that. None of it's random. So if as Christians, we don't really believe in just random causality, it would all have to go back to God, right? So that's God causing it to be revealed. All things hidden will be revealed. It's a promise. So maybe that's how it happens. It's like an echo of the truth. And for those seeking the truth, it sets you free because you can find it. You seek it out. You find it, which is what we do on this channel. And then you're not emotionally invested. Can you imagine right now if you believed all this was true and you believed and you just went along for the ride of the Charlie Kirk story? Can you imagine what you'd be feeling like right now? You'd be hating the left. You would believe that the left was responsible, which would justify all kinds of horrors against your brothers and sisters on the other side of the aisle. You might even accept the one world religion. You're going to listen to and accept whatever Erica Kirk's going to tell you next. You're going to believe that this revival is authentic, true, and real, and good, which is what a lot of people are saying right now. That, well, at least a lot of people are coming to Christ. Well, it's all under the banner of the false Christianity. Materialism. I did hear her say some things that were very troubling about the hierarchy. The Bible is very clear about marriage. It says there's a hierarchy. It said that it goes God, Christ, husband, wife, children. But yet Erica Kirk made it sound more like she was like an equal spiritually with Charlie. And that's not what the Bible says. The man is your covering. Why didn't she talk about that verse? And he's covered by Christ. Now, the way it works is if you're under Christ and perfectly in Christ's will in your life, then there should be no disagreements, right? Think about it. There is only one good and one truth. So if a man is in perfect synchronicity with Christ and in Christ's will in his life, then there should be no disagreements with the man being the head of the house. The woman should comply because obviously she serves Christ under her husband. But there was something really weird about that, wasn't there? Now, if she wasn't a Christian, I wouldn't have expected her to say, I would have expected her to say what she said, right? Because non-Christians believe that everything's equal spiritually and everything else. They don't believe in a hierarchy. But if you're a Christian, you know that that's not true. The church is trying to redefine that right now and what that means. They're trying to redefine it. So, oh, that's cool. Thanks, Save the Bees. I didn't know that Dabu gave me a shout out. I appreciate that. Yeah, we used to do a lot of shows together back in the day. We did a lot of live shows, and then I got busy. I went down my rabbit hole. And the Holy Spirit just told me to go on my own, you know. He said, just go on your own. Because we're entering a different time here. And so so I went on my own. And I don't really do collaborations with any channels anymore, but Dabu and I did a lot of shows together, like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So I appreciate the shout out that he gave me. All right. Yes, the goddess worship and all that stuff. It's just wild. So, yeah, everything's corrupted. Oklahoma, yeah, they're now talking also about putting chapters of the turning point in schools. So they're pushing through a lot of things. There's also I guess all the people that attended the funeral were surveilled. They were surveilled. Like they literally said that they tapped into every single person's phone who showed up, and they like logged 270,000 people or something. So here we are, you guys. Here we are. It's happening. Who would have ever thought this would have happened under the right? We always thought the left was going to do all this stuff, but the right's doing it. We always thought the left was going to do the one world religion, but now it's the right doing it. We always thought it was the left that was going to surveil all of our cell phones, but it's the right that's doing it. This is why you have to stand with Jesus in the middle. Instead of taking the bait right and left, you have to see what's happening in front of you and not get emotionally involved in this whole right-left paradigm. Yes, we're like conservative in nature or right-leaning if you want to put a label on it, but that doesn't mean that the conservatives that they call themselves conservatives represent true conservative values, represent moral values, represent the family, represent not, being free from idolatry and materialism. We have just the opposite that's happening right now. It's just the opposite. So, all right. What else? Casey, if I ever find out, okay, I'm just trying to read these here. Let's see here. Third political, maybe even be a third political party. Yeah. Can you imagine? Clowns on the left, jokers on the right. Yep. One world government. Yeah, we're already here, the one world government. It's already here, you guys. Trust no man. That's exactly how mine and my husband's relationship is now, because I do what the Bible tells me to do. I behave like the Holy Spirit. There you go. So there should be no disagreements with your husband. Now, if your husband is not following Christ correctly, let's say, I'm trying to think of an example, then I don't know what you would do in that instance. God doesn't want us living under someone who's not following the Lord, right? So there would have to be accountability there. Maybe that's what the church is for, but the true church say, hey, look, he's not following the Lord. So what do I do now? And then there's a discussion that happens with elders of the church or, people in the church who can hold people accountable. But it goes both ways as well. If a wife is not being Christ-like, or is pressuring the man. Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you a personal example. So let's see here. Yeah, we'll cover the Trump Epstein statue tomorrow. I just don't want this show to be too long. If a wife is putting pressure on a husband to be more materialistic, to keep advancing the family financially, and enough isn't enough in terms of income, and if you already have a lot of things like a home and running vehicles, and your husband has a good job, and yet your wife is telling you things like, you don't want to have abundance in your life. You're holding us back because these are the things that I heard. That means that she is not following biblical principles, and people need to be held accountable. Now, of course, I wasn't perfect either, but then someone tells me this is what you're doing wrong. But why is it always one-sided? Why is it always the man who's the one who's screwing up, but no one holds the wife accountable? And, I know that this goes both ways. I'm just giving you my personal experience. I know a lot of times it's the man who's not being held accountable and the woman's the one who's the stronger spiritual person, right? Now understand that being a spiritual head of your household doesn't count how many times you attend a church. Like if the church that you're going to is not good, that's not good. And where two or more are gathered together, you could be having church just with you and your wife and your kids and your family and friends. That's church. You're talking about spiritual things. You're getting into the Bible or whatever. That can be like church, especially if you realize that the church you're attending is compromised in some way. So Jesus didn't, he went to temples to basically go, debate people. But the whole point of Jesus' ministry was that church doesn't need to be held in a church. You could just be in a field with a group of people, healing and praying and hanging out. Right? So now we're not supposed to forsake the gathering together, but also the modern church, there's a lot of issues with it. The 501c3 and all this tax exempt status that basically confines them to not be able to talk about certain things to maintain their tax exempt status. Basically, the government has its hands and fingers in the churches. That should have never been allowed to happen. If you want true separation of church and state, there shouldn't be a tax exempt status, right? It should not exist. So those are some things to think about in terms of that. Like, there shouldn't really be disagreements if both people are in alignment. Now, Jesus was challenged and asked, why does God permit divorce? Well, he told you straight out, because their hearts were hardened. That means they weren't following Jesus. One or both were not following Jesus. And in that case, the husband has to give the wife a certificate of divorce. So that's what the Bible really says. All right. What else is going on? Rebecca's like, he's not dead. Yeah, I'm on the fence now. I'm like, at first, like 3 or 4 days ago, I would have said 80% I was sure that he was taken out. But now I'm like looking at all this predictive programming and I'm like, I can't even deal with this. Now I'm like maybe 50-50, you know. So, yeah. Separation of church and state. What was happening at the church, Charlie Kirk Memorial then? Exactly, Natalie. Exactly. The president, the vice president. My goodness. My goodness. All right. What else? In South Park, Charlie Kirk episode taken down, not Simpsons. Okay, thanks. South Park season 27, Charlie episode 27, Saturn year. Yeah, that number 27 keeps coming up, right? 27 years ago was Snake Eyes, and it was 2 months and 7 days before Charlie Kirk's birthday, before his 5th birthday. Please do a decades recap. Charlie is in the island of Valhalla. Yeah, I guess some channels did a whole thing on Valhalla being a witness protection program. Wow. Whoever found that, that is crazy. Let's see here. Kirk is a church in New Zealand. See you in Valhalla. 100% control ops. Yeah, I mean, like I said, after this, I'm like pretty sure that it was. The last road trip, I called a red flag on Snowball. What are you saying? Charlie Kirk died for our sins. Wow, someone said that? That's crazy. Like they're making him like a messianic figure almost. That is insane. Wow. Ooh, are you ready for this? This just popped into my head right now. Okay. Let me see if you guys are on the same wavelength here. I'm just going to start talking and you fill in the blanks once you start thinking what I'm thinking. Okay. Charlie Kirk, messianic figure, right? And where was he shot? Let's start with there. Where was he shot? So who gets the answer? Someone's already going to call it out. Where was he allegedly shot? Someone's going to call it out. Because you know you're on the same wavelength that I am. Yeah, it'd be impossible. We've been on YouTube since 2012. It would take us like weeks to recap everything. But I do have playlists. No, like inside. Where was he sitting inside of? Someone's going to get the answer. I already know. No, what was he sitting inside of? Why did they hide Neck 33? That's crazy. He was in the menorah, but what was he sitting under? Okay, let's see. We're gonna talk this through here. Tent, good. Tent. Okay, what that Angela got it. Angela Reed. Okay, a cube. Ready for this? Are you on the same wavelength that I am? Messianic figure inside of a tent, a square tent inside of a cube. You guys got to remember our decodes. Tabernacle, yes, you're close. You're getting there. What happens when you... Someone's going to get the answer. What happens? What can you do to a cube? What can you do to a cube? There you go. Jamie got it. Ding, ding, ding. It unfolds into a cross. Mock crucifixion confirmed. Let's look it up. Unbelievable. Cube unfolds into a cross. Now, we found this years ago. Someone else had actually found this before us. I'm not going to take credit. But the basic shape of a cube unfolds into a cross. So the fact that Charlie was under a tent on the eve of what I believe was Jesus' birthday, 9/11, unfolds into a cross. And the 9/11 event was also a Jesus crucifixion ritual. So now we have two events on almost the same date. How many years apart was that? 2001 to 2025 would have been 24 years apart. It was a cube. It's a tent, but it's the basic shape of a cube. I guess it has a pyramid on top, a flattened pyramid. We are talking about spiritual synchronicities here. It was next to the menorah, which of course was a tabernacle item, a tabernacle relic. We covered that in previous shows. But wow, that is insane. Now, here's where the plot thickens. Because remember, there were no planes on Blind 11. And some of the theories said that maybe some of those planes were holograms in broad daylight. So now this whole hologram thing isn't so far-fetched, is it? The chair falling through the table. At first I thought, oh, that's just got to, I was like buying the line. I'm like, oh, that's just got to be an artifact. That's just got to be compression. When you look at the video back, it's compression and it looks like the leg's disappearing, but it's really not. But no, you could literally see the chair he was sitting in fall through the table. So we got holograms at two 9/11 events, 24 years apart, possibly, allegedly, maybe. I have to say that. Crazy times, you guys. Well, guess what? What else? What other connections could we draw? Well, the towers were like giant elongated cubes, essentially. Now they were 8-sided. They had beveled edges. Let's take a look. Twin Towers, beveled edges. Unbelievable. Twin Towers, beveled. Now, what many people don't know is that this is the reason why they shined the 88 xenon lights up into the sky in memoriam of the Twin Towers of 9/11, because there were two 8-sided columns. They weren't 4-sided columns, they were 8-sided columns. So they commemorated this with the 88 xenon lights. They chamfered the edges or cut the corners. So, 8-sided columns. You could see it in the close-ups. So that's weird. Now, we did some hologram videos on this whole thing. Hologram, let's look it up. Hologram, Twin Towers, Enter the Stars. Let's see if they bring up our video here. Let's see if it's in here. Nope. Anyway, the reason why we thought this is because the facade of the towers is called ruled diffraction grating. Let's look it up. Oh my gosh, I got too many tabs here. We did a video on this, remember? I told you the laser probably came from Brookhaven National Labs. They were looking at gold particles. They were smashing lasers into gold particles at Brookhaven during that era in 2001. Now, these are just theories, you guys. You have to decide for yourself. I don't know anything for sure. I'm just telling you the research that we've done on this channel. They were smashing gold particles during that era at Brookhaven, leading up to 9/11. And we noticed that, like, everybody used to complain about the facade of the Twin Towers. They would say, what is going on with this? It's making us dizzy. It would make people dizzy. Let's look it up. Because these lines were so close together. Well, what ended up happening, and I believe this was Holy Spirit inspiration. Oh, by the way, there are 19 of these tridents along the side. And there are total 57 lines, because 19 times 3 is 57, because there's 3 in each one. Right? And then we're told 19 hijackers, but yet there's 19 tridents along the facade of each side. That's weird. Shouldn't be that, should it? There was also, I think, a Flight 19 or something. Anyway, and then 19 years later, we had COVID-19. That's weird. Now, this facade reminded me of something, and I just kept looking and digging. Let's look it up. Ruled diffraction. I'm just going from memory here. Some of you guys asked for the highlights of some of the major findings on this channel. This is one of them. Ruled diffraction grating is used in holograms. Now, we know that they have technology far beyond what we know, right? And so this is ruled diffraction grating. It looks like the facade of the Twin Towers. It's these parallel lines that make you dizzy when you look at them. See if there's some other scenes here. You can see it here. Whoa. You can see it here. They shine a very bright laser onto this, and it projects a hologram. This is how they do it. So what if the facade of the Twin Towers was a giant screen? It's almost like a screen. Projection screen. And who knows how far out the screen would go to project whatever they needed to project, and who could see it at what angles. But this is just a theory. I know it sounds kind of out there, but that's what we came up with. So, I'm back in the chat. Parallel Lines, Blondie album. Yep, we covered that. We covered that album. There was also an album called Breakfast at something, and it showed the Twin Towers and a woman serving orange juice or something. There's so much, you guys. There's so much. Arizona state mascot Sun Devil in State Farm Stadium is modeled after Disney. He holds a trident. Oh, wow. I was wondering on that day why the planes were flying so low. Breakfast in America. Thanks, Snowball. Let's look that up. You guys are on it today. Breakfast in America album cover. And we'd done a full decode on this. And there it is. Well, let's look at this one. They're looking outside of a plane window. They're literally inside of an airplane. Let's see. What's up with the resolution? Let's take a look at this. There we go. That's a good one. Open image. Man, I got too many tabs open, you guys. I can't even see it. Okay, there it is. Let's try this. Okay, Super Tramp. And look at this. In reverse, the P would be, if you were to mirror this, it would be a number 9, and this would be an 11 because it's blocked by the Twin Towers on 9/11. Except this album came out a long time before 9/11 happened. I always believed that the Orange Man was responsible. First words out of his mouth were, "Ooh, now I have the largest towers in Manhattan." Who says that? After you know that 3,000 people died. Nobody says that. Only a psychopath would say that. So the orange juice, they're looking out of a jet window, which was what supposedly flew into the towers. This was served in Breakfast in America. Flip this. Let's mirror this. Let's flip vertically. Whoa. Edit. Oh, wait, hold on. Flip this. Let's go back. Reset. Let's try to do this live here. Let's flip this. What we need to do is flip this horizontally. There we go. There it is. 9/11. You can't make that up. Right over the Twin Towers, or underneath the Twin Towers, before it all happened. This is predictive programming. Now, if you want to look at that video, you can just search Enter the Stars, Supertramp, or Breakfast in America, and it should come right up. Okay. Close all that. All right. I'm back in here. Crazy, right? Why would they hide 88? See, this is why I do these. This is why I show you guys the back end, so you can see what they don't want you to see. Does that make sense? So YouTube just censored out the number 88 in our chat. Why would they censor that out? Because it's the secret to everything. It's the secret to everything. All right, what else is going on, you guys? Charlie Kirk is an iPad Go 2, deceased man-child on the arms of the woman in the seashell. If you zoom in on the deceased man-child, you can see the blood trail from the neck wound. Oh, that's interesting. Did not look into that. Look at, they did it again. What the? You gotta be kidding me. Exposed, right? Exposed. Wow. Now you know that I'm not the one on here erasing your guys' stuff. It's happening. YouTube's doing it. He's always there. Time travel code. Yes. Private Jet 888 is key and is one of the 13. Just a Girl did it too, and it's still another modern. Thanks, Rebecca, for being on top of that. She's helping here. Okay. All right, you guys. I think we just geeked out today, so sorry. But all that needed to be said and shown. The rabbit hole is deep. I love each and every one of you, and I will see you tomorrow. We're going to decode. It's basically a film about sports worship and idolatry, and it is absolutely Christ blasphemy that's going to be in there, and I'm going to show you. I've already got the screenshots and everything already, and the clips from the film. We'll do a decode and also try to get caught up on the headlines tomorrow, exact same time. If you're new to the channel, YouTube will unsubscribe you from this channel. They have done it to about 25% of you already. 25 to 50% of you have been unsubscribed from the channel without your knowledge. They will also not likely send you out a notification for the live shows. This is why we do live shows every single day at the exact same time, so you know exactly where to go, so you don't have to rely on the notifications. And I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow. Much love.